Huge news on the recruiting trail today as Florida State picks up a must-have commitment from four-star defensive lineman Myron Charles out of Port Charlotte, Florida. Myron was a massive target, literally, as he comes in at 6'4", just over 300 pounds. All the recruiting services have him ranked as a top 170-ish prospect in the class. On three is actually a lot higher on him. They have him listed as a top 60 prospect, the number 4 defensive lineman in the entire country. So, you know what? I like their rankings better anyways. But Myron was a must-have in my opinion. You've heard it all cycle, and we've said it time and time again on this channel that Florida State is putting a major emphasis on the trenches for this recruiting class. On the defensive side of the ball alone, they just picked up 4-star defensive lineman Kevin Wynn earlier this week. They also have Javion Hilson on the edge, Ethan Pritchard at linebacker, and they're far from done at either edge or linebacker in my opinion. So definitely a focal point for this class, and I'm loving every second of it. It was a massive pickup, no doubt about it. Again, 6'4", about 300 pounds. That'll play. And once he gets some Division I type of development, especially from the GOAT and Odell Haggins, I think he has all the tools to be yet another great defensive lineman to come out of Tallahassee. We've already seen the way the staff can develop guys, even guys that coming out of the portal and weren't top prospects out of high school, like Jared Verse or Braden Fisk. Florida State was able to turn those guys into early draft picks. We've always said that once the staff could put it together on the recruiting trail and finally apply that kind of development to a blue chip, for a 5-star prospect, then you're really cooking, and that's when things start to get really fun. Again, Charles was a must-have in my opinion. This was a kid who you've led for all cycle. He's been to campus a ton, and all you heard about with Myron Charles was how much he loved Florida State and how Florida State was his leader. He was just on campus last weekend for their big June 21st weekend, but throughout this past week, we started hearing these rumors about Texas who, among other schools like Miami and Florida, were making a major push for him. We heard these NIL rumors about how Texas was just offering him insane amounts of money and how, despite the relationships he had with Florida State, he would just be crazy to turn down. You see, the Texas mom put in a crystal ball for the Longhorns to land him, and everyone freaked out. I think all the PTSD started coming back. Frustration because you absolutely shouldn't be losing Florida kids to Texas. I was upset. Maybe some of you were upset because, again, you led for this kid all cycle, did everything right, and then it looked like Texas was going to swoop in at the last minute and steal him. So I don't know what exactly transpired in the last 2 days or so for Florida State to sway him back. I'm sure they made at least somewhat of a competitive offer with NIL, but whatever they did, it worked. And the timing of it almost makes me wonder because this commitment wasn't planned. There was no scheduled date or time. You're just scrolling and then boom, Hayes Fawcett drops the update and Florida State bags one of the core members, at least in my opinion, that they needed for 2025. The trenches, specifically the defensive line, has been a position where they definitely needed to improve as far as recruiting the high school ranks. Even last cycle, the defensive line haul wasn't great. He had a couple bad flips there at the end. He missed out on some big targets, and it was something that Noles fans really needed to see get better. We needed to see a pulse there, and I got to give them props. Odell and Randy Shannon, really his whole staff is putting in major work on the recruiting trail. Again, this is their third commitment this week. So Florida State now sits with the number 12 recruiting class in the entire nation, despite having significantly less commits than almost everybody else. They lead the entire nation in average player rating and have a 100% blue chip ratio. So staff is absolutely on fire lately. Not only landing commits left and right, it seems right now, but also landing some of the top recruits in the entire nation. Big pickup for the Noles. Always fun to stuff Texas in a locker. Major week for the staff on the recruiting trail, and they're so far from done, it's crazy. They might not even be done today, just to give you a little heads up. They're definitely not done this week. I expect at least 3, maybe even 4 more in the next 5 to 7 days or so. So that's exactly why you want to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to stay in the loop of a red-hot Florida State recruiting class and catch more updates just like this one. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll talk soon. Go Noles.